I'm just checking this pond out that we overhauled some time back. Fish are looking lovely. Considering we're going into winter, I'd like to see a little bit more weight on them, because as the water gets cooler, their metabolism tends to slow down. So therefore, I'd like to have a little bit of weight on them going into winter, sorry. So I'd like to see them fed a little bit more right now. Just like to see a little bit more body on them. But they're looking vibrantly healthy. The water is basically crystal clear. Now all that's running this pond is a tray there that the water sucks through, and a tray there. So there's a couple of pumps here that this tray is getting fed off. Water circulation is excellent. Water clarity is excellent. Fish look excellent. So the fact that there's like a cover of moss on the bottom of this pond is actually quite healthy, because that cover is a wonderful biotope for algae and organisms, and very healthy for the fish. Something that it does require every now and then though is a bit of a gravel clean. So we go and suck all that, and we just make sure there's not too much detritus building up underneath. Otherwise that detritus can discharge hydrogen sulfide if we're overly unlucky. So I'm going to give these filters a clean now, but I'm very, very happy with water clarity, and I'm very, very happy with fish quality. Now another thing is that the relationship with maintenance and fish volume is a big thing. If we put more and more fish in here, then we're going to have to do a lot more maintenance. And if we wanted to get the maintenance down even further, we could consider something like an Owasa filter, which is easily backwashed and therefore much easier to clean. These filters are very effective and very cheap, but they do not have a UV sterilizer in them. So algae spores do not get killed, and they need to be pulled out of the water to clean. So they're definitely inconvenient to clean, but for how cheap they are, they do deliver very good results, and they will allow you to have very clear water. And this is in full sun. So considering this is absolutely full sun, and we've just gone through summer and this water isn't bright green, that's just a testament to how good these filters actually are. So that's the filter there. We can see that it's already ready for a vacuum. Now to pull that out, we'd literally need two relatively strong men, because that's obviously going to be very heavy, full of coral rubble. Now I've pulled out the mats. I've given the mats a clean using water. They're actually pumping out of the tank. But this one here is a lot cleaner. You can see there's the other gravel filter there. And the one here is really quite clean. The one there really needs a clean. Now with a pond like this, it's really important to have a water change routine that is relatively effective and actually works. So once again, what I'm doing here is just pumping water out using the pump that would usually be going into the pond. But over time, it is inevitable that the pond's going to fill up with a lot of waste. So getting an actual gravel cleaner in there whenever you think it's due. So this one is definitely not urgent, but over a period of time, getting a gravel clean is a very good idea. We've got a big fancy vacuum that we do it with. This filter isn't too bad. The bottom of the pond is not too bad, but this filter here is sort of due. Like to give that a bit of a clean. So we're just refilling the water after doing a water change on this pond. So we've emptied a lot of the water out of this little gully. So we're adding water ager about every 5 centimeters as we're filling the pond back up again, just making sure that we're not adding any chlorine or chloramone to the pond. With this pond's particular design, the water actually flows over into here. So what we want to try and be careful that we're not doing is having the food end up falling in here. If we put a couple of little fish in here, that wouldn't be a bad thing, just to make sure there's a bit of fish swimming around to eat any excess food that does end up in here. And then maybe if we tried pellets that are too big to fit through those holes, because these pellets are obviously quite easily fitting through the holes. So I think if we tried larger pellets that didn't fit through the holes, then that might minimize the food coming in through here as well. Now this is quite a good idea too. Just having something that allows lizards or various animals that might end up falling in the pond to get out is actually quite a good idea. So this appropriately placed house brick or house tile, roof tile, could save the life of some lizards or any other animals that might fall in there. So that's something just to think about. Think about if something fell in your pond, how would it get out? Because obviously you don't want a lizard drowning in your pond, and at the same time the lizard doesn't want to drown in your pond, and also you wouldn't want it polluting the water. Just something to think about. So that filter's been given a clean, and the filter around here has been given a clean. I've scooped a lot of stuff out of here. I've scooped a little bit of stuff out of the pond. Mum's decided that it's time for a vacuum, so that's great news. But it's very common that when I leave a pond or even a fish tank, it can look way worse than when I got there. Because when you stir it all up again, you are effectively making it cleaner, but it tends to look way worse. So don't be surprised if you have someone come to clean your pond or your tank, and because they can only clean limited amounts at a time due to not wanting to change too much water, especially as the temperature gets colder, then when they leave, often the situation looks worse than when they started, because you stir everything up, you get a whole bunch of crap out, but once again you're stirring all the crap up. So that guy's having a little hide, isn't he? Yep, all good. So these filters are going to need a clean basically straight away, because the pond has been disturbed and a lot of the crap in here has been disturbed. That means that all of that crap that's been disturbed is going to resettle on that filter very quickly, and it will need cleaning basically straight away. So whenever someone is doing work on your pond or tank, keep an eye on the filter, because it's very common that the filter is going to clog after the person's going to be there. So for example, when I came today, the pond really looked quite good. The water was very clear, the clarity was excellent, the fish health was very good. But then when you go and start scooping crap out, then you dislodge all the crap, and the crap ends up settling in the filter, which means the filter needs checking and it needs cleaning. The other thing that can be quite unfortunate, and has happened to me before, is your pond's fine, your water's clear, but in the sediment in the bottom builds up lots of crap. And when we go and give it a bit of a scoopy scoop, and then we can release hydrogen sulfide and various toxins out of the actual substrate. Now, I do not believe that's the case here, and if I did, I would definitely put some polyfilter in the filter, because polyfilter can easily remove the hydrogen sulfide. So therefore, there has been times when a pond's been okay, I've cleaned it, the pond is definitely cleaner than it was, but you've now released hydrogen sulfide from the sediment in the bottom, and potentially kill the fish. The water quality of the big pond is a little bit interesting. Its pH is a little bit on the acidic side, so I'm going to go up and put some KH buffer in it, and that needs monitoring, but the KH appeared to be 4. So that's a bit of an interesting result. Generally, if you have low pH, your KH is going to be lower. But anyway, it is what it is. So I'm going to ask that the big pond also gets monitored, and I'm going to add some KH in the next few days if we get it tested, and maybe add some more. I'd be looking for a KH of around 4, which is already what it is, let's say up to 6, maximum 8. And I want the pH to be at least green, whereas at the moment it's more of a yellow colour, so it's more acidic. So we'll keep an eye on that. Check the pH and KH of this water, and it is on the low side. I'm going to add a bit of this just to raise the pH up a little bit. But that really needs to be checked and redosed, preferably in the next few days.